G'day gamers, Ranger Tony here with another Pathfinder Kingmaker build video. So I've talked about Ranger builds before, but I haven't done a full end-to-end, all 20 levels Ranger build video. So I thought that's what I'm going to do today. So let's dive right in. This is going to be a standard human Ranger. We are going to take the standard Ranger archetype, and we are going to choose an animal companion once we get the opportunity. This is not going to be any of the other archetypes, and we're going to have that animal companion. So first of all, abilities, as you would expect, this is a ranged ranger, an archery ranger, a longbow ranger. So as such, we're going to use dexterity for our racial bonus. We're going to put this on 18. We're going to go for a strength of 14, a constitution of 14, and a wisdom of 14, so that we've got access to all of the spells. If you're using this as an NPC character, you will have to skip one of these levels, one of these 14s. That's the only difference. I would recommend skipping Constitution. If you keep the strength in there, you'll be able to use a composite longbow and do a little bit more damage. But if you want that extra health, leave the strength at 10, put the Constitution at 14, and just use a standard longbow. You can still use a composite longbow, you just won't get any of the damage bonuses from that. Skill points, it really is up to you. Athletics, I tend not to use stealth very often, but stealth is a good one. We're just going to pick all of those, and perception, and if I'm taking my NPC, the main character, I will put persuasion in there as well. Actually, swap out the knowledge arcana for the knowledge world. I misclicked there. Skills then, because this is a archery ranger, we're going to take point blank shot and precise shot at first level. Now, if you wanted to pick any other race, take point blank shot there, and at level 2 take precise shot, and then at level 3 take your rapid shot. I would probably recommend taking weapon focus in your longbow until much later. All of the feats that I'm going to be picking here are going to be maximizing your damage, and I'll explain some of them as I go along. Favorite enemies, it really depends on how you want to build your party. If you're going to eventually have Ekundeo in your party as another ranger, which, I do, he's already going to have giant humanoids, which covers trolls. Otherwise, good options are Fae, very, very useful. But there's a lot of humans in the game in general, so humans is a really good option. And then the other one that's a great option is undead. So pick any of those. I'm going to pick humans. We're not going to pick anything there, and this is going to be Ranger Tony, if I can just type properly. Alignment doesn't really matter. As I've said before, though, in various videos, I don't feel right playing a ranger that isn't good, and I tend not to think of rangers being lawful good, because they have that, and Akunde in the game is the perfect example. Akunde is a lawful good ranger, and yet there are times when he gets so focused on killing trolls that he will kill young trolls, which is definitely not a lawful good action. You can still look at it and say they are evil creatures, therefore it is a good action to kill them, but it's not really very lawful good. It's more neutral or chaotic good. So I tend to go for neutral good or chaotic good as rangers, but it really doesn't matter. You can pick anything as a ranger. It's how you want to roleplay it. I always think of myself as neutral good or chaotic good. That's the way I'm going to be. Okay, let's head on to the rest of the levels. Okay, So at level 2, we are going to pick an archery combat feat, and as I said, our only option here is rapid shot. That is fine. If you weren't doing human, as I said, you will have taken point blank shot, take precise shot now, take rapid shot next level, and then continue on with what I'm recommending. At level 3, I'm going to take weapon focus in longbow, which gives you access to the composite longbow, which will allow your strength to do a little bit of extra damage. You can just as easily pick a crossbow wielding ranger. You just will not be able to take many shot because it doesn't work. And that is one of the archery feats that you can get. So just take that into consideration. Favoured terrain, I suggest the first one that you take is forest, because that's where most of the start of the game is played. I would probably then take underground and maybe urban as well. I don't know if plains and highlands and first world are really necessary in the game, but I definitely take forest as my first one. Now, we're going to pick Animal Companion. See my other videos on Animal Companions, but having played more with Animal Companions just recently, I'm finding that the bear is okay, and you do get your 3 attacks. Dog, just 1 attack per round, even fairly late, after you've got to levels 7 or 8 or something like that. So it's not that great. Leopard has 3 attacks per round. It's very nice. Smilodon has 5 attacks per round. Definitely worth it. Wolf, only just a single attack, which includes a trip. So wolf and dog are very similar in that I don't really recommend using them. The boar is much the same. It's nice to have the other ones which have multiple attacks per round. So the mastodon could be useful. But really, I recommend the Smilodon. That's my recommendation for the Animal Companion. We're going to keep buffing Dex all the way through every opportunity that we get. And so that's all we really get at this level, but we do get access to our spells. Now, the spells that I recommend you take is at first level, Acid Maw. If you get more than 1 spell slot, take 2 lots of Acid Maw. It lasts 1 minute per level, so that's quite good. And it allows your companion to do acid damage, which is wonderful against all of those trolls. It means your animal companion can finish off the trolls. Magic Fang is really good as well, but what I don't recommend you take is Cure Light Wounds. The big problem I have with Rangers in these games is that they do not have any way to heal their animal companion. They get their animal companion late, and then once they get them, they can't heal them. And I think that's a really bad character design. I think, particularly because they have access to these spells, there should be a spell here purely designed to heal the animal companions. And whether there's 1 per level that gets more powerful, or whether there's just one that, 1 at first level, 1 at second level, 1 at third level, and 1 at fourth level, because you get 4 levels of spells, or whether there's 1 here at first level that, as you increase, its power increases as well. But I would really have liked to have seen some way for the ranger to be able to heal their animal companion, considering that animal companion is so vital to the ranger. That is iconically what a ranger is a fighter with an animal companion. I know that's not really the case everywhere, and there's a lot of other classes here that have access to animal companions, and very few of them have access, or not all of them have access to be able to heal them. But I think that is a real problem. To me, I like the ranger very much, and I feel the ranger should have some way of healing their animal companion. So that's that. Level 4 then, or level 5, sorry, of Ranger. And we could go with Deadly Aim here, but really the thing that we want is Boon Companion. And this raises our Animal Companion up to our level. We don't get the Animal Companion until we're level 4, and so they start at level 1 there. And if we don't take this, then they'll always be 4 levels behind us. As soon as we take this, they match us level for level, and they're a much more effective Animal Companion. So I don't recommend, like, you take that and you take that there, and no questions about it. If you don't take Boon Companion at level 5, it is going to hamper you for the rest of the game. You can take it later, but you will regret it if you don't take it at level 5. Frankly, I personally feel the Ranger should get their Animal Companion at level 1. They shouldn't need this Boon Companion, and maybe this Boon Companion should be the feat that allows them to heal their Animal Companion. I don't know. That's just me. We get another favourite enemy. As I said, I'm going to select Fae here because the world of Pathfinder is very big on Fae enemies, but I'm going to keep Human as my favourite enemy on this build. And this build is assuming that Akundeo is also going to be a Ranger in your party, and he's going to be the one who takes down the trolls and other giants, and you're going to be the one that takes down the humans and the Faes. There's no reason why you can't have multiple Rangers and mix and match so that I've taken humans as my primary one, and that's Fae as a secondary, and my other Ranger could take Fae as their primary and human as a secondary, and still all have bonuses. That's perfectly fine. So the fact that if you took the same favourite enemies as Akundeo, that wouldn't really be a problem, right? So it just means 2 of you doing more damage. But if you spread those out, you've got more chances of covering more different types of opponents. Level 6, then, we're getting our second archery feat. Now, there's only one choice here. The one thing that you cannot get as any other class except for Fighter, Ranger, or the new Slayer class is Point Blank Master, because it has a requirement of being a fighter. And Point Blank Master means that you no longer provoke an attack of opportunity when you shoot and someone is directly in front of you. So if there's someone threatening you with a melee weapon directly in front of you and you try and shoot your bow either at them or at anyone else, they normally get an attack of opportunity. This gets rid of that attack of opportunity. You definitely want this, because if your opponents do get into melee range, every time you shoot at them or anyone else, they're going to get a free hit at you. So, again, I recommend you definitely take that there. The only way you can take that is using one of your archery feats. You can't normally take it unless you want a dual class as fighter, and you have to have had 4 levels of fighter to get that. So that's the only way you can get that feat. Take it as soon as you can. This is the first chance that you can take it, so take it. Many shot is a nice thing, except if you're using crossbow. Improved precise shot, I'm really not that fussed on. It's okay, and here you could get it way earlier. You can get it, normally you have to have a base attack bonus of 11, and you'll only have a base attack bonus of, say, 6 at this point. So normally you would not be able to take it. But I don't, the only thing that will give you an advantage at this point is Point Blank Master, and then you have to pick the weapon that you get it in. You don't get it in everything, so make sure you pick the weapon that you're going to use. If you're using longbow, pick longbow, and you're good to go. So that one, very straightforward. Level 7. So again, we got many shot, we got deadly aim, and we got clustered shots. Now, in previous things, I would have said take many shot here because it gives you your first attack of any round has 2 arrows rather than 1. And the idea is that if one hits, both hits, so you do double. you roll two times for damage. And while that is a very good feature, I've come around to the idea that clustered shot is more important, because what it does is say that, well, the wording is you total up all damage before you calculate damage reduction. The way they actually implement it is it only does damage reduction on the first shot, assuming you did enough damage on the first hit to cover all of that. So let's say something has a damage reduction of 10. If you hit them with one arrow and it does 6 points of damage, you don't do any damage because 6 points of that has been reduced. If you have a second shot and you also hit and you do another 6 points of damage, it will reduce 4 points of that and you'll only do 2 points of damage. If you have a third shot and you hit, there's no damage reduction because all the damage reduction is gone. If you don't have that, every single shot will be subject to the full amount of damage reduction. Okay? Normally, damage reduction is applied to every single successful hit. This says damage reduction is only applied once. Once you've overcome all of that amount of damage reduction, any other damage that you do for the rest of the round from that character is free and clear, no damage reduction. The game likes opponents that have damage reduction in various ways, so I recommend taking this here at level 7, which is as soon as you can take it for a ranger. Right? So that's definitely my choice there, and my reasoning behind it. Okay, the second level spells that you get, unfortunately, I don't see a lot of them that are really all that useful. It does depend a little bit on your playing style. Cat's Grace is good to buff your ability to hit. That's fine. So that one might be useful. Protection from energy, always useful, but it only protects you. So I generally prefer to wait or get someone who can get the group protections. Stone Call doesn't do a lot of damage, but it covers a large area. Hold Animal, unfortunately, so many of the creatures in the game that you think might be animals are not animals, they're monsters, and it doesn't work on them. So, yeah. Spike Growth, again, is not too bad, but the biggest thing you got to remember here is you've got an animal companion, right? Casting something like Stone Call or Spike Growth, Stone Call, I'm pretty sure, leaves an area that is covered in debris. So it will slow down movement, and Spike Growth will actually cause damage to anyone who tries to move through it. So neither of those are that useful if your animal companion is going to be then going into battle, and you've got to be sure that you can get these spells off before your animal companion is there. So I would go with the buffs, okay? Cat's Grace, maybe Bear's Endurance. Aspect of the Bear might be good to put onto your... Oh, it's for yourself, so you can't target your animal companion. Cat's Grace, though, Bear's Endurance, and even Bark Skin can be useful to buff either yourself or your animal. So they're the ones that I would probably recommend out of the second level of spells. Let's continue. Level 8, again, we're going to buff that. We get another favorite terrain. So here I'm going to say Underground. And that's a fairly simple level up, that one. Rather boring it was, wasn't it? Level 9. So... Deadly Aim You get a bonus to damage or many shot. I would actually recommend here... Well, actually, no. I'm going to say improved critical is probably better than either of those two at this point. I would have normally said deadly aim, but I've decided improved critical is more important at this point. Because longbows do not critical very well at all. So improving that chance will be good. And you also get evasion here as well, which is nice and helpful. Helps with your reflex saves. Level 10. We get another archery feat here. Now, improved critical we could have taken, we did just take, but that's nothing, like you don't... What I'm trying to do here is take something that is hard for me to take anywhere else. And unfortunately there aren't any. We've already taken Point Blank Master, so don't take it again. Improved precise shot is still something that we can't take yet, but I don't really feel it's all that good an ability anyway. So I'm going to say take many shot here. We get another favored enemy. I'm going to say aberrations at this point, because there's a surprisingly large number of aberrations in the game. I'm still going to keep my human as favourite enemy, but this is all pretty subjective, the favourite enemies. It's up to what you want to pick at your playthrough. And it depends on which modules you're playing as well, whether you're playing the main campaign or some other modules. Third level spells, which we get thankfully pretty early compared to the others. I don't recommend taking Cure Moderate Wounds. By this stage, that is so few points of healing that, and you only will have a couple of them per day at most if you fill up your slots with them. I wouldn't recommend anything taking that at all. Okay, really, a lot of the other spells here are not all that useful. Instant Enemy is good, so I would probably recommend taking that. What that does is you can point at any target and make them a favored enemy for 1 minute per level. I remember each round is 6 seconds, so 1 minute is 10 rounds. Okay, so that will last a long time. And it's 1 minute per level, so if you know that there's going to be a couple of battles in an area in which there's going to be multiple types of that same opponent, use this at the start and you're good. Magic Fang Grater can be useful for your animal companion. Neutralize Poison is fine, but it only does it with one person. Remove Disease, again, only one person. Resist Energy Communal and Protection from Energy Communal are both pretty good, but they work just a little bit differently. They both have the same duration, and they both cover 25 foot, but with Resist Energy Communal, each person gains energy resist of 10 against the type, and once 10 points of damage has been applied, it reduces the hit points by 10. This one, the spell fails after it absorbs 12 points per level. I would say Resist Energy Communal is probably the better one, but they're both pretty good. Soothing Mud sounds good at first glance, but it's not, right? What it does is, the mud is difficult terrain, so even if you cast it on your group, they can't move very much. It slows down their movement rate. It heals them of 1d4 points of ability damage, so if they've taken Constitution or Strength damage or Dex damage or whatever from poison or any of those sorts of things, it can remove that. And then for each round after that, it restores just a single hit point to the creature for as long as the spell lasts, and it only lasts for 1 round per level. So it's not going to do that. Like, your level 10 at this point, it's going to heal at most 9 points of damage per person that's standing in the mud. Not that great. So I recommend Protection from Energy Communal, or more importantly, Resist Energy Communal, Magic Fang Grater for your animal companion, and Instant Enemy so that you can turn anyone temporarily into any type of creature into a favored enemy. That would be where I would instant enemy is the main one I would use. Cure moderate wounds, as I said, doesn't do enough by this point. Okay, at level 11, I'm recommending taking deadly aim at this point. Well, maybe... No, actually, I'm going to recommend taking Hammer the Gap at this point, because deadly aim does apply a penalty, whereas Hammer the Gap doesn't. I was thinking of making Hammer the Gap a little bit later, but I'm thinking deadly aim... Hammer the Gap now. So if you do multiple hits at the same target, and by this stage you're probably going to have, with rapid shot, 3 or 4 shots per attack if you do a full attack. So that means the first shot will do normal damage. The second shot, if it hits... So if the first hit will do normal damage, if the second shot hits, it'll do +1 damage because it's the second hit. If you can get all 4 or 5 hits off, you'll be doing +1, +2, +3, +4 points of damage. So that's probably the way to go there. And you get the Quarry ability. And this is like the instant enemy where you can sort of... It gives you... It's the same Quarry feature that the other Ranger archetype gets. You just get it much later. It just allows you to designate a target. It doesn't give you the full favourite enemy bonus, but it's still good. And you can do that a few times a day, I believe. As a standard action, so I think you can do it unlimited times. Level 12. Again, in our decks, for that... We don't get anything here, so all we get is camouflage. It's okay, but I don't use stealth, really, in this game, so... Level 13, we'll take deadly aim now, and then we'll choose another terrain. I'm going to choose Highlands at this point. Because I think there are some more highlands around. There are a little bit of plains, but I don't think quite as much. And then later on we can probably take urban if we get any more. I don't remember if we do. 4th level spells, Cure Serious Wounds. Again, at this point, I'm not sure it's really that useful, but it's probably the best that you're going to get out of any of the spells. So if you're going to take any spells, now's the time. Any curing spells, now's the time to take this. But frankly, I would have just been using scrolls well before that. It looks like we probably don't have a high enough wisdom to get 4th level spells anyway. But if you've got something that's buffing your wisdom, a headband or whatever, I would look at Aspect of the Wolf. But again, that only applies to you. Inspiring Recovery can be good, so it allows you to bring back a party member who's died within the last 2 rounds, so that is nice. But probably Blessing of the Salamander is the one that I would talk about. It gives you fast healing, so you get 5 hit points healed per round, and you get fire resistance as well as a bonus to combat maneuvers. But just it's a regen ability that is quite good. Animal Growth to increase the size of your animal companion would also be another good option. But those are the only ones that I would really seriously look at. Out of all of them, probably Animal Growth and Blessing of the Salamander are the 2 main ones that I would look at, even though Blessing of the Salamander probably doesn't really last long enough to do as much healing as I would normally like. But by this stage, Cure Serious Wounds is really not doing enough to do some serious healing. 3d8, yeah, it's not too bad, but you could have really poor rolls and it could do 3 points of damage, 3 points of healing. Level 14 Ranger then. We get our next archery Out of all of these, we've already taken improved critical, so there's no sense taking it. We've already taken point blank master, so improved precise shot, we might as well take it. As I said, I don't really feel it does very much because there's not really that... I don't feel concealment works that well in the game. I haven't actually noticed it, but maybe it does. Maybe it is better than I think it is, and I should have taken it earlier, but I tend not to take it. Level 15, we're going to take critical focus. So we've already taken improved critical. This will allow us to confirm our critical hits much sooner, and I've talked about critical hits before, so I won't go into that further, but you can read up about it. We need to take another favored enemy. We already took aberrations. The other ones that are a bit weird I would take are outsiders. There's a lot of creatures that fall into the outsider range. I'm still going to continue on buffing my human one though, because I think they're a good group to focus on. Level 16, we're almost there, guys. One more point into Dex, getting +6 now. We don't get anything here except for improved evasion, which is fine. Level 17. And this is where it starts to get interesting because there's not too many things. Like, if I had space earlier, I would have taken improved initiative then, but I'm going to recommend taking it now. But if you don't want to take this now, dodge is another good option. Things like Iron Will is a good option to improve your will saves, or lightning reflexes to improve your reflex saves. I don't recommend precise strike because it's mostly for melee. Outflank, you don't really outflank when you're doing range stuff either. Although, if you score a critical hit against an opponent that is flanked, your other allies gain an attack of opportunity, so you could do a critical hit with your bow from a range, and any of your allies who are around it will get a free attack. So that might be useful as a teamwork feat, but I'm going to take improved initiative here. Level 18 then. We get another favored terrain. I'll take plains, and then really we actually don't have any skill that we can take here. So I'm going to take a skill focus, which we can now do, and I'm going to take, we'll take law nature. It doesn't really matter, whichever one. Like, another good one is perception. I tend to like perception a lot for my rangers, so I think I will actually take that. It just means that my ranger is going to see all the traps and find all the secret hiding places with all the loot in them. Level 19. You could look at taking your armor focus. I wouldn't recommend going up to heavy armor. I find that the medium armor is good enough. Breastplate, best thing you can get for a ranger. You could take armor focus to get an extra AC out of it. I'm going to take dodge though. And we get improved quarry there as well. So you can now do the quarry as a free action rather than it would take a movement action previously, I believe. At level 20, yeah, I'm going to throw that last point into Dex anyway. As I've mentioned in other videos, if you've got a magical item that is buffing your abilities by, say, 3 points, then that will make that number even, so you'll get the extra modifier out of it, so you might as well. And if not, well, there was nowhere else really that would be useful to put it. Last favourite enemy, I'm going to pick dragons. You could have done that earlier. There are a few dragons in the game, I believe. I'm going to keep going on the human, and we get the Master Hunter ability, which we can make a single attack against a favoured enemy at full attack bonus. And if they fail, they make a fortitude save or die. If they do save, they just take they take the full attack. They take the normal damage, I believe. So yeah, pretty nice ability there. So that's it. That is my level 20 Ranger. You can see my animal companion here, my Smilodon, is up at level 20 as well. He has 35 strength, 29 dex, and 31 con. I don't know why he's got a dex penalty there at the moment, why it shows as red rather than anything else. He's doing ridiculous amounts of attacks per round. It doesn't really adequately explain how many attacks he gets, but he has a bite and multiple claw attacks, all doing ridiculous amounts of damage. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this build. If you find it useful, please give me a like and share it with your friends. Be sure to subscribe to keep up to date with all of my builds, and I will see you for the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.